Good day. Welcome to your 9.09 or IELTS Review Center, Cabanatuan City Review Guide. So this lecture is all about the step-by-step procedure so that you may be able to reach your full potential before you take the examinations. Because most people will be coming in the branch not knowing where to start, what to do first. So this class is made specifically for that. Okay, so let us begin by doing the first step. So what is the first step for your IELTS review? So first is to acknowledge. What do you have to acknowledge? Acknowledge that you need mentorship to help you improve. You need to be fully prepared, fully equipped before you take the examinations, which would enhance our chances of getting better band scores, because we don't want to take a test about anything, regardless of whether it is IELTS or not. If we are not expecting, if we're not going to prepare for what we should expect, then definitely, how can we possibly pass this, right? So that's the idea. Next is acknowledging of your plan. So first is, what do we have to do to acknowledge the plan? Definitely most of you guys are having different types of preparation. Some of you are parents. Some of you are working. Most of you guys are studying. So you have to plan. What do you think would be the most appropriate time that you are going to allot in preparation of your examination? So also acknowledge your sources. So when you say you acknowledge your sources, you're going to identify which type of resources are you going to get information from. Primarily, you will get the information from us, through us, and many different versions of our online sources as well, which we are doing right now, what we're doing right now. So you also have to acknowledge the need for assistance. So when you say acknowledge the need for assistance, you would understand that since this examination is quite tough, most people are actually comparing it with their board examinations, and they would definitely say, oh, my preparations in the IELTS was actually much tougher than my actual board examination questions. Although we're not downplaying the importance of your actual board examination in your profession, then there's also this need for assistance when this arises, and that's where we come into the picture. That's where we assist you and guide you and nurture you in your preparation. So that is the first step. You have to acknowledge all the things that I have just told you guys to do. Once we're done with the first step, we have to do the next step, and that is to ask yourself, how am I going to prepare? So there are mixed style of learning. Some people are much better learning alone. Others learn a lot by taking notes together as a group, expressing different concerns as a group. And some people are just more on a written context. Now, you have to ask yourself, what is my learning style? Okay, in preparation for my examination, together with the classes that we offer, what would be the learning style that I'm going to use? Definitely you have to use the mixed learning style. We're going to get resources from former students. That's why we also have a group. So at your own pace, individual learning style, together with group learning style, lectures, online classes, all of them, all right, will be used together so that you may be able to, get hold of the information better. So mixed learning style is the best. Determine your pace. So there are some of your classmates who are faster in adapting. Of course, age, your busy schedule, would be factors, would be hindrances in your preparation. So you ask yourself, you don't have to rush through, especially if you have applied for the unlimited 1 year, because you can use it for a year. So you can do your review style for a year. So you don't have to rush through. Let's say you have some important matters to attend to, which would make you skip class for about 2 months. It's fine. What happened with the lockdown? Diba? 2 months tayong walang class. But still, we're trying to learn how to deal with situations when situations arise. So ideal learning styles are different from each and every one. Like if my ideal learning style is reading, 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 some of you might be more interested in listening, some for audiovisual sources. So we're trying to mix all of them. So you have to identify your type of learning style suitable for your need. And my suggestion is you have to adopt to a mixed type of approach. Then is the review duration. For how long am I going to attend to my review classes? So of course, the duration of classes vary depending on students' ability to acquire and retain the information. However, it is suggested to spend 3 to 4 months of attending classes to be able to attend all 69 lectures and exercises. So we have a lot of list of major and minor lectures together with exercises and different accent training included for your preparation. So we call them the review cycle. So let's say I began with the first major lecture for writing, and then that is the first start of the first cycle. So you would be having some minor lectures as well, some skills enhancement lectures as well, and then exercises all together for the whole month and then the following month. So when it comes to cycles, you should expect that the first class of the first cycle would be repeated after 2.5 months. So the ideal minimum length to attend all the major lectures would be 2 months. The ideal length to attend the major and minor lectures would be 2.5 months. And for you to enhance your skills, attend minor lectures, subclasses, to have yourself coached, it is highly recommended to spend at least 3 to 4 months. Now, sir, why are you offering the crash course review package? Well, that is for the freshers, like for those people who have already taken this exam, for some people who want to shift from ACAD to GT because, GT is much easier compared to academic. So it depends on your pace. So you will be the one to decide, when should I take this exam? When am I ready? So of course, this 3 to 4 months duration would vary. Let's say, for example, some of you skipped classes for like 2 months. So you have to start over again. You have to begin with the first class of the first cycle once more. So that is the reason why the duration of the review varies depending on candidates, depending on our students. So it's up to you, but the ideal is 3 to 4 months because we also don't want to oversaturate ourselves with what we have already learned, because after 3 months, the new class will begin, and that is exactly what you have already attended, so the same information would be repeated. Now, changes in the information happen on a yearly basis, not on a monthly basis. Like there will be a massive drastic change that would occur that would shake the English world. No, it would not happen like that. So what changes have we encountered so far? The prohibited words for academic writing task 1, the prohibited word for both ACAD and GT writing task 2, okay? The speaking tasks, the changes in the listening examination, the changes in the difficulty of the reading examination. So those are what we have encountered already. So those significant pieces of information only occur on a yearly basis, not on a monthly basis. So if you were going to skip some classes, you would return and to start over again, it's okay. And there are no significant changes naman na nangyari. Don't worry. Now, time management. So time management is very essential. This is also what we are training you guys in your examination. You're only allowed, you're only expected to finish the examination for your written test. That includes your listening, reading, writing for about 2 hours and 40 minutes. 40 minutes sa listening, 2 hours si reading at saka si writing. So that is what we do during mock exams. Now, coaching sessions, all right? Coaching session is when we pretend that this is your speaking test and that I'm going to be your examiner, and then I'm going to ask you questions according to how examiners ask questions as well. And then I'm going to give you my assessment based on the standards of the examination, what we call the band descriptors for speaking, and then I'm going to give you tips. Plus, writing coaching session happen every after you are done, every after you are finished with your written task. So once we're through the discussion, the lecture, let's say the topic is, do you agree or disagree? And then you would be doing the task assignment. You're expected to do that for 40 minutes, 250 words. Then upon completion, you just have to submit it to me. So after you submit, I'm going to make some remarks, some assessment in accordance with your task response coherence, vocab, and grammar. So after that, I'll give you your score. You would know that, oh, this is my first score. This is what I have to, this is what I would get if this is what I do. So that is the concept of coaching session. So the duration of your practices should match the actual examination conditions. That's why we're not going beyond it. We're not supposed to go longer or much more longer when it comes to time. Assignments and activities. So whenever you do your practices, listening, reading, writing, you have to do this under the exact time that you're expected, that you're allowed to do it. Now, let us talk about the major lectures. Okay, so your major lectures in our review center includes your listening, your reading, your writing, and speaking. Take note that even though most, I'm not saying all, most of your major lectures can be applied for both ACAD and GT, there are some significant differences, particularly with the reading and the writing task 1. But your listening, your writing, your speaking would be exactly the same. So the difficulty level varies between candidates. The difficulty level varies between seasons. The difficulty level differs between years. So we have to learn how to catch up. We have to learn how to identify some nuances in your test-taking strategies. That's why major lectures are created for that. So it is highly recommended that when you begin your review cycle, you should attend your major lectures first so that you would know the expected outcome of what challenges you might encounter along the review itself. So in the listening major, I'm going to teach you the skills. I'm going to teach you test-taking strategies. I'm going to teach you how to do this test properly following the actual condition of the test, in which you have to take note and then you will transfer. So more on that on our listening major soon. Then your reading exam. Even though the difference between GT and academic is massive, GT is much easier, acad is much more difficult. GT has more passages but shorter, opposite for academic. The band score conversion is 34 points for GT, 30 points naman for academic. But when it comes to the similarities of the different type of questions, they are very much alike. Okay? So that's why yung mga skills enhancement na ginagawa natin kay reading is exactly the same for your ACAD and GT counterpart. Now, writing task, you have two. Okay? You have your writing task 1, you have your writing task 2. The only difference between ACAD and GT is your writing task 1. Because academic, your writing task 1 is statistical report, while GT, your writing task 1 is letter writing. But what about the writing task 2? Your writing task is the same. Now, I cannot do just one major lecture in writing task 2. It is actually subdivided into 5, and here they are. Your agree-disagree, the most basic. Discuss both views, for me the easiest. Open-ended, the most challenging. Do you think the advantage outweigh the disadvantage? And to what extent do you agree-disagree? Which are very common during the latter seasons. So we would expect yung dalawang nabanggit ko na huli, Do you think the advantage outweigh the disadvantage? At saka, to what extent would come out more often during the months from between October and December. So, eto, paparating na buwan, no? So, and then speaking, I'm going to discuss the exact same thing that you are going to do, you're expected to do on the actual day of the test. So speaking, major lectures are actually very long. So that's one of the reasons why whenever we do your major lectures, we do them in the morning, because there's a tendency that we would be using more time. So it's better to adjust in the morning than to adjust in the afternoon, okay? Those are your major lectures. We are, again, highly recommending that you attend more of your major lectures, because this will help you identify sections of the tests which you have to really work yourself on. Okay. Next up is your coaching session. So as I was saying, what is this coaching session for? So to put this in a perspective, during the writing coaching session, this is where I assume the role of your assessor. We call the examiners marker when they assume the role of the ones who will check your work. So we call them markers. Diba? It's so silly. Para siyang pentel pen. So, but yeah, that's the thing. They will be assessing your work on the actual examination based on the boxes written below the test paper. For those of you who don't know yet, we have official answer sheets uploaded in our Facebook group. You just have to type the keyword answer, and you will be directed upon a link that goes to my Google Drive file. So you can download them, you can print them, and there you have it. You have your official answer sheet. It is also better that when you do practices for listening, reading, and writing tasks 1 and 2 as well, it's better to have the actual printed material for the answer sheet, because it will give you the sense of feeling that this is like your examination. So the idea, which you are going to become more familiar, would definitely boost your confidence level on the exams. So, writing, you attend major lectures first. Then you submit your assignments. And then I'm going to assess them. And then you will be handing it over to me once you get the result. And we will be discussing what are the things that you did great and the things that I would like you to remove on your system. So the things you did right and wrong would be discussed during coaching sessions, and tips to help you improve. Okay. Now, in the speaking exam, you would be asked for 10 to 15 minutes in an interview, and that is what we do during coaching sessions. I'm going to interview you, okay, for 10 to 15 minutes as well. If you guys want, you may record yourself using your mobile phones so that you may listen to it again, telling yourself, oh, Sir Kevin was right all along. This is what I did. So this is what I should change. So it would serve as a proof for and comparison as well. So take note that I have already coached 1,500 students. All my friends on my Facebook account. This Facebook account is the one I use for only my students. And when it comes to the number of students, the volume that I have already assessed, so massive, all right? Now, the thing is, most of my students who began with their coaching sessions were actually not performing great. And it is expected. It is expected that when you do something for the first time, you would suck at it, right? But you have to tell yourself, this is used for this coaching session. The first coaching session you would do is used for assessment. It's used for baseline data comparison. Like, okay, I got 5 in speaking, I want 7, this is my first time, it's still a long journey. Tell yourself that. So after 5 to 6 sessions, I'm going to tell you this. We only see changes, growth, development, you name it, after 5 to 6 coaching sessions. So it's not an overnight thing. It's not something that sinabi, nagawa na ulit. Kasi, there are also some students who kept on doing the same thing over and over again. Now, as your coach, I would not get tired letting you know, hey, this is wrong. This is the 6th time you did this wrong. I'm not going to, not going to give up, letting you know that that's a mistake on the examiner's eye. So if you're going to do that, where's the growth? So the growth is up to you. It's up to you how you will allow the perception of the ideas that I'm going to teach you that you will use on your exam. Now, skills enhancement. We also have list of skills enhancement lectures. We have the writing task skills enhancement. We have the listening skills enhancement 1 and 2. So we do this to acquire the appropriate learning styles, okay? Appropriate for you, because, different learning styles exist, and we are going to identify which one would be suitable for you. To do the examination the right way, to practice the actual exam together with the expected level of difficulty. We have a lot of practices in our branch, and that is what we are preparing you for, to encounter the examination even before you take it. And with that, you are given this sense of recognition. Now, okay, this is what I'm expected to do, and the level of difficulty is the same. So points of comparison would become easier. So we have the listening, reading skills enhancement 1 and 2. We have the writing and speaking skills enhancement as well. So please attend those major lectures because they are really a big boost in helping you achieve the skills needed. Each of those different subtests require different skills. And that is where we get skills and enhance them through your skills enhancement lectures. Next up is our minor lectures. So we have the vocabulary. We actually have 5 vocab 1 and 2 classes. Vocab 3 and 4, those are your exams. Vocab for IELTS. Then we also have the grammar. Grammar 1 to 9. My God, dami. Okay. We will cover the subject, verbs, prepositions, adjectives and adverbs, sentence construction, conjunctions, all the parts of speech. And then you can use those grammar and vocab classes, the ideas that you will get, the knowledge that you would acquire for these classes in both your listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So they are very important minor lectures, so please attend them. Now we have your pronunciation classes. Sir, what's the difference between pronunciation and accent? Perhaps I've already covered that idea, that sense, on my last lecture for Australian accent here on my YouTube account. But when it comes to the difference, they are completely separated entities. Pronunciation is the lectures that we do to help you improve your delivery in the speaking exam. But for the accent, we're doing that only specifically for the purpose of the enhancement of your ears, recognition for the accent itself. So when you say recognition of accent, you would definitely know the variations of the English language through the different mouths of speakers. We have the American, British, Australian, they're very different. So please, attend those accent classes, but you have to know that their purpose are different. Accent is for listening, and then pronunciation is for speaking. Next is the content. This would be the last coverage of this lecture, the content. What is content? So we have content writing, content speaking. So we are learning more about writing and speaking because they're actually the most difficult part of the test. Unlike listening and reading where you just only have to write answers, letters, spell them out correctly. You just have to write words accurately. But when it comes to content, this is how you formulate your own response, particularly for both the speaking and writing. That's why we have both content writing and content speaking lectures for this particular review. Now, what we talk about content is your substance, making sure, pag sabi natin content in Tagalog, laman eh. Substance means, am I looking, okay, as an examiner, am I just reading something that is all blabber, that doesn't mean anything, that's just there, constructed sentences but don't mean anything? So of course, you have to increase your substance. Now, for syntactics and semantics, this is where we have to go deeper. Because the substance, i-cover natin yan sa content speaking, content writing. But when it comes to syntactics and semantics, this is where we have to really talk about for good. Now, first, let's talk about the syntax, this concept of syntax. Syntax is a study of sentence structures and the rules of grammar. While people can do what they want with language, like Kevin, and then fly, and then to the moon. Kevin flies to the moon. I can do that. I can use it. Because that is how grammar works. You just have to grab yourself a subject, and then you have yourself your verb. Kevin is singular, flies singular to the moon. That's the recipient. That's the object of my sentence. And many often do. Syntax helps common users of a language understand how to organize words so that they make the most sense. Let's start with this sentence. The through pasture, the chased a dog, rabbit. So most of you guys will scratch your heads and then think, hey, what the hell did I just read, right? Because all these words are put together, but they don't have any meaning at all. Now, if we are going to use some normal rules of syntax, our first example means nothing. But rearranging those exact same words in a new order, and they make perfect syntactical sense. That reads like this. The dog chased a rabbit through the pasture. The dog is my subject. Verb is chased, which means it's already over. The action means hinabol. A rabbit, that's the one who receives the chasing. Through the pasture, that's the additional prepositional phrase. So it means that syntax corresponds to the meaning. Is your sentence meaningful? Does it give a thought? Can I make something out of it? Is there a message? Not just some words placed together. But when you say, Kevin flies to the moon, although in a syntactic sense, it's okay, but Kevin is a person, and you can fly on the moon. If you're only a person, you can't breathe there. So it's not going to happen, even though syntactically it's correct. And that is where semantics will come into the picture. Semantics, on the other hand, is the study of the meaning of sentences. Kanina, the arrangement of words to give meaning. Now, whether the meaning of the sentence is actually going to work. For instance, there's a world of difference between I robbed a bank and a bank robbed me. In the former, see, I robbed a bank. I took money from a bank against their will. Kaya nga, rob, diba? Rob and theft are different. But when you say, a bank robbed me, it's the other way around. It's the bank taking money from you. So, based on the placement of your words, there would be significant changes in the meaning of sentences. And also, if we rearrange our first example, tingnan natin ha, yung kanina, a dog chased the rabbit through the pasture. The dog is the one who chased the rabbit dun sa pasture. But when you put the rabbit, okay, a rabbit chased the dog through the pasture. Tulad ng sabi natin ha, it might make sense as far as syntax is concerned, but seem a little odd when considering semantics, because rabbits don't usually chase dogs. Diba? Well, sir, what if the rabbit is like ganito? No, you can't argue with that. That's why most of my students are arguing with me. Sir, what if ganito, sir? Sir, bakit hindi po ganito, ganyan? It's because of the rules of syntax and semantics. So you have to do them properly. Another example, okay? The squirrel sang bumper cars. Okay, on a pure syntax level, this sentence makes sense. Na ayun yung squirrel, you have your subject, you have your verb, you have your noun, structure. Diba? They are arranged in a format that would be understood on a grammar level. It's only when you bring in semantics that you think, how the heck does a squirrel saying bumper cars? How did that shit happen, yo? So that's, for me, something that you would understand once you're through with all the lectures that we're going to have. So take note, that our study of all the minor lectures, vocab, grammar, pronunciation, accents alike, isn't meant to understand them individually. I'm not teaching them because you are going to teach them to your kids or future grandkids. I'm teaching you because I want you to use them, to apply them in your writing and speaking composition so that they can make sense. And when they make sense, you have to constitute them, coherence and cohesion. So syntax and semantics level are the grassroots. Ibig sabihin yung pinaka-basic foundation eh. That's the building block. But when it comes to the unification of ideas, that's a whole different thing that requires a whole different lectures to be talked about. Because that's how you arrange big chunks of your essay, big chunks of your responses for your speaking. So, for the meantime, writing and speaking, you have to apply your sentences, your paragraphs, your speeches, your statements in a grammatical construct that are deemed meaningful, and therefore you have to apply all those minor lectures. And for you to do so, attend classes. Thank you very much, everyone. That is the end of your review guide for your 9.0 IELTS Review Center, Cabanatuan Branch. And your exam preparations might differ from others. My last note, despite the differences across modules and the preferred learning style, take note that IELTS is just one exam you are sure to pass, provided that you follow the guidelines. That's it. Have a nice day, everyone. God bless and good luck.